Were you expecting someone else?
What do you say, boys? You ready for an adventure?
It looks very far away.
It's closer than you think.
There, look!
What is it that you're afraid of, my love?
يوم 28 أبريل محبين شخصية بيتر بان على موعد مع فيلم اللايف أكشن المنتظر بيتر بان أند ويندي اللي سبق وتم تقديمه كفيلم أنيميشن عام 1953 وبطولة النسخة الحية بيجتمع ألكسندر مولوني بأول تجربة تمثيلية له إلى جانب أفر أندرسون جود لو وغيرهم. وبمقابل هالنجوم اللي بانتظار طرح الفيلم نجوم فيلم السوبر هيرو أنتمان أند ذا واسب كوانتمانيا سعداء بردة الفعل الأولية للجمهور مع انطلاق عرضه. فهالعمل بظرف يومين قدر يتخطى 365 مليون دولار على شباك التذاكر عالميا. وهالنجاح السريع أسباب عديدة ما بين القصة اللي كتبها جيف لوفنس والأحداث اللي تولى إخراجها بيتر ريد وتطور الشخصيات من أول جزء إلى هالجزء الثالث.
Rudd and I talked early on about we really wanted to beat Scott Lang up in this movie. Whatever happened in Endgame happened, they defeated Thanos, but you know, he's resting on his laurels at the beginning of this movie, but to really shake things up and create a different energy. Make the movie more epic, but also like create a nuanced antagonist for them to face off with.
وهنا وقع اختيار المخرج بيتر ريد على شخصية من قصص مارفل المصورة لم يتم الخوض في تفاصيلها بعد، وهي كانغ ذا كونكورر اللي تم الكشف عنه لأول مرة في مشهد واحد في نهاية مسلسل لوكي اللي تقدم عام 2021.
For this third one, I really wanted Antman and the Wasp, who are kind of always considered, you know, on the lower end of Avengers in terms of like their power set, right? I wanted to pit them against a really formidable villain and start off things with this very sort of lopsided confrontation. Kang was a character I knew as a kid from the comics, and we talked to Kevin and the idea that Kang could be the next big antagonist in this next phase. But I love Jonathan, and so when I cast Jonathan in this thing, I knew all his work. I'd seen everything he'd ever done. And I always tell the story about like watching Hostels, in which he has a very tiny role and he's lying, you know, dying in a bed as Christian Bale, you know, it's really Christian Bale's scene. He's sitting next to him and talking to him, but you cannot take your eyes off the guy in the bed, and it's Jonathan. And just watching him in The Five Bloods and Last Black Man in San Francisco, Lovecraft Country, everything. There's always a truth to his performance. He is a chameleon. He can do so many different things, but he just has this presence that I think actors either have or don't have.
ورغم أن جوناثان ميجرز لم يبرز اسمه في هوليوود إلا خلال السنوات الخمس الأخيرة، إلا أنه من خريجي ييل سكول اوف دراما ويمتلك موهبة جذبت أنظار النقاد بالفترة القصيرة.
I needed somebody who was physically imposing, which Jonathan certainly is, but someone who was really soulful and hyper intelligent, and knowing that Kang is a Nexus being, right, and they're Kang variants, someone who could pull it off and relish the idea of playing all these different versions. But for this movie, I liked bringing that really, really, grave energy, this different vibration, as Jonathan says, into the Ant-Man movies, which are generally, lighter movies and more comedic.
Who are you? I'm the man who can give you the one thing you want. What's that? Time.
Kang has always been waiting in the wings, and I know Kevin and Stephen Pruzzard, who is a producer on this movie, were talking about who that big bad would be. There's only a finite amount. Obviously, they've done Loki and Thanos and Killmonger and all those things. Doctor Doom is still waiting in the wings. I'm assuming that's going to happen at some point. But Kang was the guy, so I think they'd been, trying to figure out when and how to bring him into the MCU. As we started talking about this movie and the need for a big bad, there were only a couple of possibilities, and Kang won out.
وللمواجهة الكبرى صناع الفيلم أيضا اختاروا عالم جديد من عوالم مارفل الخيالية ليخوضوا في مغامراتهم.
It can rewrite existence and shatter timelines. You cannot trust him.
I don't care who this guy is. I just lost so much.
I knew from the first two movies I wanted to go down into the quantum realm, and we owed the audience answers as to what Janet Van Dyne was doing down there for 30 years. But it then struck us as we started to construct the story that, what if Kang was down there? What if he was down there for a reason? What if he had been exiled down there and he could not access his time-traveling technology? And what if there was a prior relationship? What if Janet and Kang had met somewhere in the past and it did not work out well for either of them and had present-day ramifications? All that stuff fell into place, and it felt like this feels like a different way to introduce this villain in this new phase and a way to make him have a personal connection to our heroes.
You could win.
ومن ضمن الأبطال إيفانجيلين ليلي وكاثرين نيوتن، وبحلقتنا بكرة بتتعرفون على تفاصيل تجربتهم بهالفيلم.